When I look back at my preparation for this particular competition, there are some very obvious areas in which I let myself down.
Funnily enough, I started thinking about my 180 kilo failed bench press 10 days ago or so when I woke up, and that was one of the reasons why I couldn't get back to sleep. It's something that I am genuinely tormented by every single day, and my session today is going to include bench press, so I'll get a better idea of where I'm at. But I really, really want to nail this 180 kilo bench press in the competition at the end of June. And I guess I'm a little bit nervous about how it's potentially going to go down, but I'm not going to let any doubt seed into my mind, because doubt is the first step towards failure.
I think this session has given me an awful lot to think about, from the perspective that I came in with the sole ambition of maxing out 180 paused, and I leave having failed to do so in that regard. And I can't help but feel as though the overarching emotion in the aftermath of the session is one of frustration or disappointment.
I think I'm just going to fuck off with all the new adjustments that I'm trying to make this close to a competition. Granted that I'm going to have to grease the groove with either one of those adjustments, whether it be leg drive, whether it be grip width, for a number of weeks before it becomes something that's second nature to me. So I think I'm just going to do what I do best when it's competition day and absolutely send it. And if I fail the lift, I fail the lift, but at least I know that I gave it the best possible shot.
Have my word on this, pause benching 180 kilos in comp in Galway at the end of June.
Today's the day. It's the day that I said I'd show up. I have aspirations of hitting the 180 on the bench press. Right now, it's a difficult one to assess. It'll very much depend on performance on the day, how things go. But the training is done, and there's nothing more that I can do about it. I'm very, very nervous about getting it, simply because I put so much weight into the fact that I will hit 180 kilos on this day. So now there's nothing left to do. I'm here, getting ready to squat first. Then I'll be onto the bench, then I'll be onto the deadlift, and we'll see what we can do. But there's no use in comparing myself to where I think I should be or to how other people are going to perform on the day. It's just going to boil down to my performance, the training that I put in, and hopefully it'll be enough. With respect to how I laid out and my plan of action on the day was such that I was going to hold myself back on the squat so that I had enough energy, I had enough in my system to be able to nail the bench press. Because first it was the squat. I think I did 180 kilos to open, up to 187.5 and 195 as my best attempt. But all three of those attempts were very, very easy. So that's the squats out of the way, and the game plan for squats, as prescribed by GAR, was to go a little bit handy. As you saw, my three attempts were relatively easy, and my last attempt was 195, which is 5 kilos less than what I've actually been able to do in prep. But the reason behind that is that to leave me as fresh as possible coming into the bench press. So, we're going to be going pretty heavy. I do have my sights set on the 180 kilos. So now it's currently a 10-minute break between the squat, the bench. It's time to carb up, get about probably 300 milligrams more of caffeine into the system. And then as far as we're concerned, we're just going to send it. I think that's it. With respect to the bench press, I was very, very confident coming into the third attempt that I was going to be able to move that 180 kilos. And I made a comment backstage to Jack Kenny that as soon as I gripped the bar on that first attempt on the 160 kilos that flew up, I was like, this feels good, it feels right. It embedded me with a sense of confidence that I wasn't expecting to have on the platform. And as such, the 160 kilos flew up, the 170 kilos flew up. But there was one moment on that third attempt, just as I was setting up to get underneath the 180 kilos, where I felt myself adjust in a manner that I hadn't adjusted for the two prior attempts. As soon as I lay back on the bench, the first time that my back came into contact with the bench, I wasn't happy, I wasn't comfortable with it, and I fidgeted a second time, and subliminally and subconsciously, that, I think looking back, signaled to myself that something's changed here. I'm not as confident under this as I was for the 160 and the 170. And as the bar came down to my chest, I think I started questioning it a little bit more. And every attempt I've ever done at 180 kilos, the first half flies up, but it just gets stuck is the only word. I can feel it slowing down rapidly as I progress to that halfway point of the lift, and then the weight eventually becomes, you know, so dense and so heavy that I can't overcome it. Well, we failed it. I don't really know what to think of it now. Going into it, I think 160, 170 felt pretty strong, so it's very surprising that 180 kind of got stuck. But I don't know, it's kind of fucked up my plans for the next couple of weeks because I wanted to cut as soon as this competition was over, but the fact that I still haven't surmounted 180 kilos, I'm probably going to have to do another competition at one point or another. But as Abby says, it's not exactly a failure, it's a learning curve.
Everything happens for a reason.
I guess there's a reason why it happened. I don't know what the fucking reason is.
You've got a reason to do another competition now, which means you've got a reason to bench more than 180.
More than 180.
More than 180 in the next one.
So who knows? Even though I've kept saying for the last 4 weeks, I'll bench 180, I'll bench 180. Maybe this time next year I'll be benching 200 kilos. But yeah, it sucks. It is what it is. Not much we can do about it now, but move on to deadlifts, get it finished off, and rinse, repeat, figure out where we went wrong and try to correct it for the next time.
You will get it next time.
Yeah.
I didn't deserve, there was no right for me to be able to do that bench press. That right is earned with the right preparation, with the right training. I try to avoid nitpicking at certain things that, had the stars aligned a little bit more, would have allowed me to successfully complete that lift. A couple of people said to me afterwards that small things like the length of time in which I was forced to pause the 180 kilos on my chest is an argument that I don't really accept, because my view on it is that if I can't perform the lift in anything other than perfect circumstances, well then I simply cannot perform the lift. I hate to draw parallels between other sports and powerlifting and such, but it's very true that the margins between winning and losing are very small, and you're not going to have the best people in their fields complaining about 1 or 2 minor differences in their conditions that, had they been different, they would have been successful. Because at the end of the day, no one cares. You either fail or you succeed. And to make excuses, I feel, is absolving yourself of responsibility, absolving yourself of the opportunity to be able to rectify your mishap, to be able to rectify your failure. So again, I'm forced to sit down with a monologue in front of a camera and talk about, you know, how failure is an opportunity for progress. And the feeling that I had as soon as I missed that lift and I had walked backstage was just almost disbelief that my moment had passed. I was thinking, you know, surely that's not it. Surely I'll have another crack at the whip. But it really just was one of those things that, you know, is very difficult to kind of put into words. The deadlift was a movement that I didn't give a fuck about, because it came after obviously failing the one rep that for the last 2 months I've been putting myself under immense public pressure to be able to hit. So I was fairly carefree with it. We started at 220 kilos, moved up to 230, and then Gar said, fuck it. At this point, it's basically a suicide mission. So he loaded what he thought was going to be an absolute fight of 250 kilos. But surprisingly to myself and to Gar, the 250 kilos flew off the floors. I left on a very, very positive note. I think I got excited about the prospect of my ability to progress my deadlift with far more consistent training than I've ever given it. Because with very, very inconsistent and improper training and technique, I managed to at ease lift 250 kilos. So I think it'd be pretty cool if on my next powerlifting arc, I really focus on the deadlift as much as I focus on the bench press. It may have a benefit from the perspective that it takes pressure away from my ability to perform on the bench press, which may ironically improve my performance, but also give me a renewed interest, a renewed vigor to carry out a powerlifting program properly, with the prospect of progressing one day towards what I think would be an incredible lift of 300 kg. Regarding the day itself, I wouldn't have been as comfortable, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as I did if it wasn't for the brilliant people around me. Gar Ben is one of the co-owners of the ABS Powerlifting. He has been nothing but phenomenal throughout my preparation, and indeed on the day itself. I've Jack Kenny, I've got Jonathan Agagaj, Aesthetics, I apologise if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, and of course Shane Corbett, who wrote me my powerlifting split, which added over 20 kilos to my squat, over 10 kilos to my best ever deadlift, and with plenty of kilos left in the tank. It unfortunately didn't get me over the 180, but I can only blame myself for not putting in the exact work that was required to get me over the line, so to speak. But in October, we go again. Abby, Shane Corbett, and potentially my sister Fiona may join us in the next USAPL powerlifting competition, scheduled I think for October. And I think that of course gives me a renewed YouTube series to document, to follow along with, and to keep me accountable to not having to sit down with another depressing monologue, having failed yet again on a 180 kilo bench press.